how would you describe your journey towards ICA recognition?
I mean, I think it was very well structured and planned, because we also engaged with your mentorship. So I think that was very useful for us. I think that by having the mentor sort of outline what the needs were, that made it very focused for us, right? So I think that partnership worked really well, and I think that was a nice sort of option that you offer, right? And I would encourage all schools to use it, because it's important to know where you're heading, what people are looking for at the other end. And I think Helen did a good job with us in that respect. Like, she would sometimes look at some of our we would always meet with her every so often and show her some of our materials, and she would give us feedback, and she'd be like, oh, but from our perspective, this is kind of what we're looking for. And then we would be able to go back and improve or update or switch things around if we misinterpreted what it meant. So I think that was really helpful.
And what advice might you offer to others that are considering moving towards that kind of recognition? And
I think the organizational piece is very important. I think we also, by chance, we had a teacher that was on maternity leave. And so we assigned her the role of sort of being our document collector and sort of organizer. And so we created a structure within, our Google folder and Google Docs, where, we used the document that was given to us with all of the, standards and, the indicators, and so we created folders for each one, right? And so we methodically went one by one through each indicator, and we looked for those materials, and we, and it was actually a good self-reflective process for us, because if we came across an indicator that showed us, that was lacking for us in some way, that was one of our sort of goals in our pedagogical meetings. Like, how do we address this? How can we improve this? How can we make this happen? Because this is something that's going to be looked for. So on the one hand, we were going through, we're aiming for accreditation, and we went through recognition, but it was sort of a process that helped us improve our practice, because, that was sort of a guiding document that helped us along as well, right? So I think it was good. It tightened up our practice.
And how, you touched on this already about, how useful you found the mentoring element of the process, but how do you value the mentor support that you've received as part of that?
I think the mentor is very valuable, because I think that person knows what the expectations are from your end, right? And I think it's really important to get that perspective. So, because you could be sort of plodding along and doing something, but if you might be going in a totally wrong direction, or not, maybe not wrong, but just not in the direction that maybe you guys are looking for, right? So I think that person is valuable because she provides feedback. And I think the same way we work with kids, and we're always asking kids to sort of reflect, like we're doing the same process, right? So we're going through a process, we have some external input, right? So somebody's giving us some input, and then we're sort of reflecting upon it, and we're changing our practices, right? So I guess we're also going through the cycle of reflecting and learning, and the same thing that we're doing with our kids, right?
And based on your experience so far, do you think that investment in ICA accreditation is worthwhile, and why?
I think the investment is worthwhile because I think it's important for schools to have accreditation. I think it provides schools, or it provides our clients and our community with kind of a seal of approval, right? That we're operating up to a certain level of standards, and that we're delivering a high quality product, right? So I think it also helps tranquilize parents, especially in a new school, that's just starting, that, you know, there's quality, that the education that their children is receiving is up to standard, that, you know, what we're doing is similar to what other schools in other parts of the world are doing. So I think it's really important to sort of have that seal of approval.
And then this one, I guess, is a little bit more focused on you and your school's ethos. What would you say motivates you, and what motivates your school?
Well, we strive to provide a high quality education, right? We strive for excellence. And we also strive for a more progressive pedagogy in general. Like we understand that the world has changed and schools need to change, right? And so we're trying to provide a different kind of education here in Brazil for, you know, that you know, Brazilian education has in the past been very traditional. And so we're trying to move away from that. We're trying to, you know, have our students be more, you know, proactive and, you know, protagonists in their own learning. And, you know, we understand that teachers are sort of guides. They're not supposed to be at the front of the classroom anymore, sort of just lecturing all the time. And I think that your curriculum really supports our work in that, right? So, you know, we're trying to prepare students for the 21st century, you know, with skills and competencies for the 21st century. And we do believe that there's more to education than just sort of the academic content, right? So personal goals are really important. You know, who you are as a person, you need to develop that as well in kids. So I don't know, in general, I think, you know, that's what we're aiming for.
And kind of following on from that, what would you say your goals are for the next 3 to 5 years as a school? And in what way has the process of ICA recognition supported you with that?
So for the next 3 to 5 years, we're sort of on this journey to, you know, create a more progressive school that values, you know, knowledge, skills, and understandings, and not just, you know, core academics, and you know, that values the social emotional side of students. You know, we do believe in technology, and, you know, if technology is used correctly, it can be very beneficial. So, you know, we are a school that is teaching kids how to use technology, you know, wisely and appropriately, and so we're sort of moving in that direction as well. You know, we've partnered. We're trying to also achieve Apple recognition, you know, for our middle and high school. So so we are sort of on this journey, and I think the ICA process of accreditation helps to keep us on track and aiming high, right? And sort of provide some guidance so that we are, you know, we're sort of moving in the right direction and we're hitting all of the bases, right? So, you know, we're not leaving something behind, because I think the accreditation process is very thorough. It looks at the school as a whole, right? And so sometimes you might, if you're not going through this process, you might be really focused in one area, or sort of like, you know, go off on a tangent and do something else, and sort of like there's, you don't have the big picture in mind, right? So I think recognition and accreditation does that for a school. I think it helps you to sort of maintain the big picture in mind, and always sort of aiming high and towards high quality, right? Because that's also what you want to deliver.
This one's a little bit more specific to improving learning, and how has engaging with the process of ICA accreditation so far helped with improving learning in your specific context?
Well, I think we've sort of like zeroed in on specific indicators, and it's helped us identify our weak points. And then when we identify those weak points, we always have sort of our you know, pedagogical team meetings and our sort of admin meetings where we discuss, you know, how can we initiate improvements in those areas, right? And so we do have a system in place that when we created the school, every afternoon there's PD time for teachers. So we have once a week PD in each division, preschool, elementary, middle school, whatever, with the principal. And usually that principal has, agendas set out for the whole semester. But we've taken those items and the way we feed our agendas based off that document that we're using from, the ICA. And that drives our PD, right? So, and then based on the PD, obviously the teachers then go back into their classrooms, they try out, the new things or whatever, and it's a cycle, right? The principals go in, they observe, they watch, they, meet with teachers. We also have instituted weekly meetings with teachers and their principals or coordinators every week, where they go over lesson plans, where they discuss, methodological practices. And so because we are a new school, we're very aware that a lot of our staff need to be trained, right? We in Brazil, this is not a normal way for sometimes operating, right? So progressive pedagogies aren't the norm. So you have to sort of slowly embed that, right, in the culture.
Did you take part in any professional learning as part of that journey towards accreditation?
Yeah, so I did the leaders workshop that was held at the British School in Rio a few years ago.
Yeah.
And then all of the teachers at our school are doing the online workshops, like the beginning and then the second one. So when a teacher joins us, they sort of do those workshops as well, right? And then we use a lot of the materials that are in your portal. Sometimes the webinars we share with teachers during PD, and obviously we shared the documents, right? So sometimes you have checklists. Just one that comes to mind is the one about the environment. I think there's a checklist for the IUIC where, do you have these things in your classroom, right? So that was something that we printed and we shared with teachers, and we and we had them sort of reflect upon what does the environment look like. So we've kind of used everything. So I do think that, and I'm really glad to see I've been using the materials since 2018 when we started the school. And a lot has changed and a lot has gone into that portal, right? And so I would just encourage you to keep feeding it, because there's a lot of good stuff there.